Hello everyone and happy Halloween. Today we're going to be making this spooky ghost. Ooh, so scary. Alright, let's start a new document and close this. And the first thing we'll do is make a sphere. So let's add our sphere, and I'm going to turn on the shading so it shows lines so you can actually see what's going on. Now we have the sphere, and what we want to do is make a plane that will collide against the sphere and create a cloth-like surface. So the sphere will be our collider object. We want to increase the segments to, let's say 60, because with the dynamics and cloth, you want more segments to get a better, more high poly look. If you have less segments, it's gonna be very low poly pixelated, and we don't want that for this, for the purpose of this tutorial. So let's right click the sphere and add a simulation tag, and we will add a collider body. And so under collision, we want to change the shape from automatic to static mesh. Now, the sphere is not going to be moving, it's going to be a static object. So we want to change the shape to the static mesh, because if you don't change the shape, Cinema 4D will do a bunch of assumptions and you can get kind of funky results. So it's better to be more accurate. So what we want is a static mesh. Now we're going to add a plane, and we'll make it a little bit above the object. And I might change the plane size, so like 600 by 600. And alright, so let's right click the plane, go to simulation tags and soft body. Now we could do the cloth and the cloth collider, but I don't really like working with the cloth that much, and we can get the same result using the soft body, and it's just easier to use. So we'll just use the soft body. Now we've added the soft body to our plane, and we can click play, and we get this result. So we get this, kind of floating plane that hits the sphere and sort of takes the shape, which is good, but we can get better results. So let's go into our soft body dynamics tag, and we'll change some of the settings. So we'll go to the collision, and under bounce, we want to change it to 0, because the cloth doesn't really bounce, it just kind of, And we want to change the friction to something high, like 95, because cloths have a lot of friction. Alright, so I don't think anything really changed, so we'll have to go to our soft body tab, and so we're going to change some of the settings here. So let's change damping to 1%. And under here, we'll also change the damping to 1%. And we're going to change the flexion to 1. I'm probably not saying that right. Alright, very nice. Now we actually get something that's closer to what we want. The plane is wrapping around the sphere, and you get this nice ghostly figure. Now, as you can see, it's very low poly, and not really what we want. So let's just go back, and we're going to change the plane width segments. I'm going to change it to like 60 or below. The more segments, the better. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, as we can see, we got this nice, folds, and got this really nice shape. Another thing to note is we're going to go to our project settings, so you can click Control D or Command D if you're on the Mac, and this will show up the project settings. And under Dynamics, you go into the Expert tab, and Steps of Frame and Maximum Solver. So whenever you're working with dynamics and things aren't working exactly how you want it, like maybe you're getting some errors or like some weird collisions, this would be the first place to go to kind of solve that. So just increase the steps. I might change these to like 15 and 30. and this just makes it like calculate more. You can get like nicer folds, and it should come up with a nicer result, but also it's going to take a longer time to preview, as you can see right now. Alright, I don't know if you guys can really tell the difference, but I think it looks much nicer. So I'm happy with how this looks. If you try to play forwards or backwards, it's like it doesn't really preview properly and it takes a long time. So since I'm happy with how it turned out, I want to bake the cache. So click your planes dynamics tag and go cache, and let's bake the object. It'll take a few seconds for it to bake the dynamics. Alright, since it finished calculating, let's see the results. Very cool. As you can see, we play forwards and backwards, no problem. So I'll just pick a frame that I like frame 46. So I'll just stick with this. And after you finish baking, you can even delete the sphere and it won't affect or anything. But I might click Control Z because I do actually want to keep the sphere. So let's go back to frame 46. And now we want to make the eyes of the ghost. So what we'll do is add in a cylinder, bring it forward, press R, and hold down Shift so it rotates at even numbers, and then let's just move this around. Press T for scale. Alright, that's good. And then hold down E for to move, and then hold down Control or Command if you're on the Mac to duplicate the object while moving it. Alright, kind of looks like the Minions, which is, hey, if you're into that. Alright, now I'm going to group the cylinders together. So I'm going to hold down Alt and G to group these together. I'm going to add in a bool and put in the plane. And the eyes underneath the bool. So as you can see, it cut out the cylinders cut out into the cloth objects, and we have our eyes. Now I'm just gonna increase the segments for these. Should do like 100. Alright, pretty cool. You do a render preview, you can see we have our eyes. Alright, so we're pretty much done making the ghost. Let's just add in some lighting and just add some stuff that are visually interesting. So I might change my render to Octane, because that's just what I have installed on this computer. I have Arnold on my work computers, but don't have it on my personal computer, so can't show you that. Alright, let's go to Octane, Live Viewer, and let's just stop this and press the gear icon so we have a updated preview. And I go to our content browser, and I created a preset for myself called Studio Rig, and I'm just gonna drop this on my scene. As you can see, it's just a basic studio with a bunch of area lights that are lighting this scene and lighting our objects. I'll turn this around. Alright, I'm just gonna group the ghosts. Hold down Alt G, and then I'm just gonna rotate it so that it is facing us. Alright, I don't really love that these lights are showing up, so I might drop down and I might hold down Shift and select all of these, and you click into the settings here. You can see under visibility, camera visibility turned out, and now we can see our object unobstructed. I'm just on your render settings and change this to 180 since I'm just gonna be uploading this to Instagram. Alright, very nice. I'm just lower down. Alright, cool. I'm happy with this. Okay. Now our ghosts, you can see some like little like low poly stuff, and I want this to be, you know, a lot smoother than it currently is. So a very easy way to do that is just go to subdivision service and add in a subdivision service. And I drag in the null, and now we have a high poly object in just a matter of few clicks. I'm gonna make a new material. So let's go to the Octane Live Viewer and click diffuse material, and I'm gonna drag this to our bool so we can actually see what is going on. And I'm gonna double click this, we'll open up the material editor, and let's open up the node editor. This is the Octane texture settings. Now we just have our default thing. So let's just add in an image texture, and I want to add in some color correction, and I'll tell you why in a few seconds. So let's drag the image texture to the texture of the color correction, and then the color correction to diffuse, and then let's load in our texture. So I got this fabric texture from textures.com. It's one of these, I think it's this one right here. It's for free. You just have to make an account and you can download this. I just searched cloth, so that's where you can find it too. Or you can just go Bing. Don't use Google Images, by the way. It says Bing Images is where it's at. Alright, so we have our cloth, and it's looking pretty textury, fabric-y, already highlighted jeans texture. So the reason why I added color correction, because I want it to be white, but I don't want to go to the effort of opening this in Photoshop and editing that way. That's too much effort, and we can just do an Octane anyways. So I'm just gonna decrease the saturation and the color correction. Alright. And then I'm just gonna change around with the brightness. Just make it a little bit brighter. So right now Octane is showing this kind of like greenish color. That's just kind of like a render. We can fix that later in the camera settings. So don't really worry about like the tint of it right now. It just happens to look like that now. Change the gamma a little bit. Alright, that's good enough for me. Now I want to add a bump back to it to add some visual interest to how it looks. So again, let's add the image texture and color correction just in case I want to change it. It can't hurt to just add it. And then we're going to attach this to the bump. And I'm going to attach the same image that I used before for the diffuse. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but it added a bump map. If you increase the power, you can actually tell what's doing a lot more than you currently can. I'm just going to change it to like 0.5 so it's not like super strong. Mess around with this. Alright, it looks good enough for me. I mean, that's basically my mantra. If it looks good enough to me, like, I don't bother with messing around with it anymore. Alright, so let's add in our camera. And the Octane camera just takes what your view is at the moment and creates the camera angle based off of that. So I'm just going to press 1 and move this around a little bit. Alright. So our Octane camera has a bunch of settings. Usually the first thing I do is go to the camera imager tab, and I'm going to click to enable it. And down to the response, it has a bunch of settings. It's very cool. This is like one of my favorite parts of Octane actually. So I just change it to this one down here because I want like a cooler, kind of like more atmospheric look. You can change around. You can check these out also. They have a shit ton of settings that you mess around with, and they have it like different tints and stuff. This one is more cooler, so, and it's like more blue than green, which is what I want for the moment. Alright, very cool. Alright, now I'm just going to duplicate my texture. So I'm going to hold down Alt, or actually Control, my bad. And I'm going to go to the diffuse, saturation 0. I'm going to increase the gamma because I want this to be darker. And I'm going to put the darker texture onto the sphere. So now we have like these black lights. I just did it this way to add a little bit more visual interest and just adding like a simple black texture. And yeah, that's basically it. So if you're happy with the camera settings, the depth of field, that sort of thing, you can just go to the gear icon, and this is where your render settings are. So under kernels, the default setting is direct lighting. This is kind of like the preview. This is fine for like previewing the image, but it's not your actual render result. So so path tracing is like the actual thing that you want to set it as when you're rendering. And as you can see, it got like really bright overexposed. We don't want that. So default is like 16,000 samples. That's overkill for what we need. Just change it to 1,000. If you use specular, just change it to 4. Maybe I don't really have a specular anyways. So and also this is for Instagram, so I don't need a bunch. I don't need like a super crisp thing anyways. GI lamp, that is what makes the lighting so bright. So just change it to like 1,000. Maybe like 100. 10. Yeah. Just gonna mess around these settings. Alright, I think 0.6 is what I want. And yeah, that was pretty close to what the lighting looks like before. So you just have to mess around the global illumination lamp. Alright, I'm happy with this. So let's just render this baby out. Spooky goes. Woohoo! And there we have it. We have our spooky ghost. Just in time for Halloween. Scare all of your friends. Alright, thank you for following along. I hope you learned something new. And like and subscribe, I guess. Until next time.